Good evening, SportsZone. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I am Mike Aglioloro. I am your host for this is Sports Zone. Coming to you live like we do each and every week here via the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Radio Network. We got a good show for you tonight. We will be joined by Dave Hastings in a matter of moments, and hopefully we get Erich on here tonight as well. I got a lot to talk about tonight. Let's start off. We're probably going to be doing a couple things that we don't normally talk about tonight because obviously, we're just getting started with the baseball season. It's only a few weeks old here, and I don't really want to talk about the Mets too much because you look at their score right now, they're losing 11-2 in the top of, 11-3 in the top of the fifth inning. So they're not doing too well at the moment right now. So we're not really going to get into that too much. Bullpen's not very good. But anyway, this was a big sports weekend because, of course, Tiger Woods made a long-awaited I don't even know if you call it return, just return to form, I guess, would be appropriate here. Everybody loves a good old comeback story here. We know what Tiger Woods has gone through in the last 10 years. Not the most popular man on the face of the planet, but he put on a performance at the Masters. I don't know if you could really say vintage Tiger Woods, because vintage Tiger Woods was he just go up on everybody by about 10 strokes and just run away with the whole damn thing. But he wins his first major tournament in almost 10 years, I believe. I think it was like 2009, I think was his last one, if I'm not mistaken. And his first Masters championship since 2005 when I was in college, which means that's how you know you're getting old right there. 14 years ago. So yeah, I was 22 years old, and I still remember his last Masters because I got made fun of the entire rest of the semester. But guys, I was doing a college radio show with because I didn't watch the Masters that weekend. But he won this weekend, one stroke ahead of about three others. He was trailing coming into the final day, which marks the first time in his career that he ever had a come-from-behind victory. Because, like I said, in his heyday when he was winning majors and masters and all that stuff, he would just dominate everybody. This is the first time he actually had to come from behind, and he won. And, you look at everything he's gone through the last 10 years with all the marital problems that got made public, all the surgeries he had, the DUI and everything. As someone who was never the biggest Tiger Woods fan, I can appreciate what he means to the world of golf. Because I remember when he first became a pro, he won all the amateur tournaments, and then he became pro in '96. And within like 8 months, he's winning his first Masters. So, and the golf world was really changed forever as a result of Tiger Woods. I can appreciate what he means to the world of golf. And all you got to do is look at the crowd that was around him at that 18th hole. You think of the ratings for the Masters. Golf takes such a center stage when Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods. And, just from a personal standpoint, to see a guy who has gone through so much and be able to come back. He didn't even think he'd ever. I said 97 Masters. Thank you, cousin David. I did say that. He went pro in '96 though, summer of '96, and then about 8-9 months later, he won his first Masters. So yes, that timeline does add up. Anyway, it just means so much more when Tiger Woods is doing his thing and winning tournaments and everything, and being the center of golf, because nobody pays attention to golf unless Tiger Woods is doing well. All you got to do is look at the ratings, the last 10 years. I watch golf when Tiger is in contention. Yes, well said there. And you even heard the announcers say, you think of all the people who are on the PGA Tour now, these are guys who grew up with Tiger Woods. So as much as I'm sure they wanted to win the Masters, to see what Tiger Woods was doing, I'm sure a lot of them were just in awe of the performance he put on. And for me personally, like, I didn't get to watch a lot of the Masters myself. I was following it on the final day, but I was working a lot the first 3 days. When you find out he got tripped by a security guard in the second round, and he kind of tweaks his ankle a little bit because where the security guard clipped him and everything, and he's still able to not only finish the hole, but do what he had to do to, I think, birdie the hole or whatever it was. You knew from that moment he was probably going to wind up winning this thing. But with that, we will bring on Dave Hastings here tonight. Dave, how you doing?
Doing good, Mike. Doing good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad. So I started talking about this a little bit before you came on, but we all knew we were going to bring this up tonight, so let's get into it. Tiger Woods wins the Masters, first Masters since 2005, his first major since, I think it was 2009. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, Dave.
Yeah, no, I think that's right.
Okay. What was your reaction to seeing this whole thing? I don't know did you watch a lot of the Masters? You just watched the final day?
So, I mean, I didn't watch, definitely not beginning to end. I
Yeah.
really love golf, but that's just torture watching golf for 7 hours a day every day. But anyway, he kept himself in contention on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I mean, the way they set it up with the early start, which was a smart move with the weather that ended up starting to come in towards the end of the day. It was an amazing day of golf on Sunday. Whatever you really think of Tiger Woods, to me, you still got to be impressed by what he was able to do. 4 back surgeries. At one point, he's literally quoted as saying that the last back surgery was in hopes to just be able to live a normal life for the rest of his life. It wasn't even with the intentions of really being able to play golf. It was with the intentions of being able to try and live a normal life moving forward. So to go through those surgeries, to go through what he went through, I know people are like, oh, it's the greatest comeback, one of the greatest comeback stories ever. I mean, it's an amazing story considering how low he was, what seems like a few years ago, to being able to make this kind of a comeback and to win at the Masters, which is, basically golf's Super Bowl. With the performances that Molinari and some of the other guys were having that day, to stay patient enough and, basically let them make a mistake and not make a mistake that hurt him. It was unbelievable. It's the first time he's ever won a major event where he trailed going into Sunday. So that's really, pretty damn impressive to do at this point of his career. But watching him make that putt at the end with the win and to see that metaphorical monkey off his back, it was just, it was really cool to see. And then to see him be able to embrace, give his kid a huge hug. And, you got to realize his son at his age only knows negative things about his dad. He's never seen, the way people have embraced him, like he got to experience that Sunday. And, I think that's really freaking cool considering the first time that he won the Masters, the first person he hugged was his dad. So to have the first person he hugged be his, I think 8-year-old son, is really kind of cool to see that full circle moment in a man's life. So I was all about it, man. I loved it. I'm not going to lie, watching him hug his son and his mom and stuff kind of even choked me up a little bit. I thought it was pretty damn cool to see, and I'm happy to see him win. And to me, it's better for golf all around, because one of the things all these guys said in their interviews leading up to the Masters was the influence Tiger had on them wanting to play golf. So it to me, it's just really cool to see, and I think it's something that's good for the game of golf as a whole.
Mm-hmm. No, I absolutely agree with you. And I was saying this before you had come on. I don't know if you heard this. The first come from behind victory he ever had in a Masters, because when he was winning, or not in a Masters, a major, period, the first time he ever came from behind to win one of these majors, because when he was winning majors at that, would look like to be a record clip, he never had to come from behind because he was just so dominant. And the fact at his age, he's able to not only have a come from behind victory, but the first one of his career. That's impressive in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that were impressive. And the worst part is, to me, about the whole thing is some of the guys and the rounds that they played at the Masters was nothing short of amazing. I mean, there was a lot of guys who played a really good golf this entire weekend. And, you know, I think that kind of gets lost in the spotlight on two ways, where, you know, yes, they didn't win, but they do deserve some recognition for it. And two, it, to me, makes Tiger's win even more impressive, because there were some really good scores this weekend at the Masters that, you know, to be the guy that comes out on top no matter who you are, it's just it was an impressive weekend all around the board.
I mean, and you had so many guys who were close on this too. I mean, the Masters is always kind of considered the hardest one of these majors to win, and you got 7 guys going into that final day who were within like 2 strokes of each other. Not only makes it that much more impressive, but it's just like you said, so many high scores. Like I said, there were like 6 or 7 guys who finished plus 11 or higher. So to have that, it kind of makes the victory that much more impressive.
Exactly, and I think I actually think they tied the Masters record for most players at like above like 8 -8 or something like that going into Sunday. I can't remember what the specific stat was, but that was a pretty cool tidbit of the information to learn.
Mm-hmm. I think the last thing we'll say on this, and then we'll kind of move on to something else. So he's done it. He's returned to his glory and everything. This is his 15th major victory. I mean, I'm not going to ask if he can top the record of 18, but set by Jack Nicklaus. But I do think this actually makes him the oldest player to win a major. I think he actually beat Nicklaus on that one. I could be wrong about that, but do we see him winning any other majors over the next couple years?
I think it's not a long shot to expect him to, but I mean, like we kind of touched on with what you saw at performance-wise from so many different guys this past weekend, it's not like it's going to be I don't mean to take away from guys he played against, you know, in his prime, but there's a lot more golfers in the tour, you know, in the PGA Tour now that can play with him and don't have that same fear factor that he was able to put on people, you know, back in his prime. So I think he can, but I as a person who, not a betting person, but I wouldn't go crazy betting on Tiger Woods winning a lot more majors. But tournaments, I think he'll be in competition for a lot more consistently than he has been.
And my cousin is correcting me. He is not the oldest to win a major. Nicklaus was 46 and won the Masters, and Tiger was 43. So I was wrong on that. So, but I totally agree with you. I mean, in terms of the fear factor, the intimidation factor, obviously that's kind of gone away. But I do think, to your point, I think the overall talent level is definitely a lot more now than it was then. I mean, you think back to when he was coming up, and the guys that were in he did have the stare back. He absolutely did. But you think of the guys who were in their prime when he was coming up, and you kind of name them on one hand. You had Vijay Singh, you had Jack Mickelson, or excuse me, Phil Mickelson, and maybe one or two other guys. You had like the Nick Faldos and the Greg Normans who were kind of but he was not in his prime though. He was kind of towards the tail end of his career when Tiger came up. I think he was like a couple years removed from the prime of his career, and he definitely never won any majors. And my cousin is now naming players off in the chat room, but everyone that he's naming off kind of makes my case, because Gary Player was not in his prime when Tiger was coming up. So again, you think of all the guys who are in their prime now: Brooks Koepka, Molinari, and I think
you got Ricky Fowler, you got Justin Rose. I mean,
Dustin Johnson.
You could probably name anywhere from 10 to 15 guys that could win a tournament any week.
Yeah, Dustin Johnson, definitely. So, yeah. All right. Anyway, we can move on. Dave, anything else stick out to you this week?
So, I mean, really quick, I just want to throw out the fact that it was officially announced today that Los Angeles Chargers will officially have their powder blue uniforms as their official home uniform moving forward, no longer an alternate. Okay. And I was amped to hear that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that just came out maybe like 2 hours ago.
Okay. I've always been partial in terms of Charger uniforms. I don't know if it's black or more of a navy blue with the bolts on it. I always like that uniform just because that's the one I remember them wearing in the Super Bowl. And I always kind of like those uniforms. Why the powder blue?
Well, I mean, it's kind of the fan favorite, and even non-fans of the Chargers.
Oh no, I was asking why you preferred the powder blue.
Oh, that baby blue color is basically my favorite color.
Oh, the North Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put it this way: when I was in high school, I owned a baby blue velour jumpsuit with baby blue Timbs. I don't mess around with baby blue.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm sure wherever he is, Michael Jordan is proud of you. So you got that going for you.
and Puff Daddy would have been proud of me too.
Yeah, Puffy. I tell you this, you know, that just makes me think we're going to go on a tangent here for a little bit. You still ain't seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
I still have not.
Okay. You have to see that movie because within 10 minutes in, there is a song that if you are not hooked on the movie by that point, you will hear that song and be like, all right, I'm on board for whatever this movie's selling me. I'm telling you right now, and it is P. Diddy related.
Okay.
Kind of. It's more the better one, but it's still kind of related to fucking. So, anyway. All right, just to throw that in there. All right, but let's stick on football for a minute here, because if you listen to sports talk radio, at least in New York, there was a section of Giants fans who I guess were praying that the Giants would be able to work out some sort of a trade to get Russell Wilson as their starting quarterback. And I think it's fitting that I say this as I bring on Erich Trussler. Erich, how you doing tonight?
Tiger Woods, y'all.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I tell you what, before I go into that, we kind of just finished talking about Tiger Woods, but seeing as how you are just coming on, Erich, give your thoughts about Tiger Woods here.
Phenomenal. Everybody was watching this weekend. I mean, what he was able to do this weekend, something nobody ever thought he was going to do. I mean, it had been debated for years. He hadn't won a major in 11 years. It was awesome to see him. He's never come back on a Sunday to win a major either. He's never won it after, if he's not been leading. So all of that was just really cool. And I mean, his just pure excitement too. Like that. I said it as it happened. I was sitting there with my wife, and we were sitting there, and I was like, when he put his arms up after he won, I'm like, that right there is a Wheaties box. That right there is the ad for the cover of the next Sports Illustrated or ESPN, the magazine. Tiger roars. Like it was iconic. It was great. It was great to see him in the red on Sunday. Having his kids there, it was special and something the golf world won't forget.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. I could definitely see whatever the PGA golf video game is. I could definitely see him when he put his arms up. I could definitely see that being the cover. So
he has his own video game, Tiger Woods Golf.
Oh, excuse me.
No, they discontinued it and they replaced it with Rory McIlroy. I own the game, so I trust me, I know this one.
All right.
But it may make a comeback after him winning the Masters. I'll say that much.
I can see them ripping that away from Rory McIlroy after that. I tell you what, Eric, I'll put the question to you. I just put to Dave. So it was great that he won this one, but at the age of 43, 15 major championships already. Likelihood you think he will win another one?
I think more likely now than not. I'm going to use something here, a stat that I've heard in my lifetime, that they say once you get struck by lightning once, you're more likely to get struck a second time. I think that's more likely what could happen with Tiger. He won this one. He's more likely to win another one, I think, than he is not to at this point, especially if he can stay healthy. He may win another one this year. They're playing at Torrey Pines. They're playing at another course that he loves. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Maybe Dave or Mike, you can help me. Is it Bethpage or something? But places he's won at in the past. I mean,
well, you're naming aren't you naming the places that they play the majors at? Like Torrey Pines, isn't that where the U.S. Open is? Or is that Bethpage?
I'm not sure which is which, I'll be honest. One is the PGA, which they moved up this year. It's in May. And the other one is in June, I think. So I'm not sure which is which. Sorry, Golf World. I think it might be Bethpage before Torrey. It is Bethpage, and it's before Torrey Pines. Are they playing?
The next major is at Bethpage because one of the things people pointed out was the last time he won back-to-back majors, it was at Augusta and then Bethpage.
Okay. Fair enough then. All right.
I get you watching golf, though, Mike. Mike, you don't like golf. You don't watch golf. But did you tune into golf on Sunday as we were watching? Were you also watching, too?
Well, here's the deal. I was definitely following it. But I was coming off of a very busy work week, so I needed to unwind. I can't say I was actually watching it, but I was following it. I was definitely following the leaderboard on ESPN, like the live results and everything. So I could definitely say I was more invested in it than I had been probably at any point in my life up until this point. So that should count for something.
I think the more interesting question is when the next major comes around, is he going to go in as the favorite? Because there is a guy out there that won $1.2 million by betting on Tiger to win. I can guarantee you're not going to get odds like that again. Oh,
I think he'll definitely. Apparently, Tiger came in second at the PGA Championship last year. So that's according to my cousin here. So I definitely think he goes into the next major as the favorite.
Absolutely. Well, Vegas took a bath. The books took a bath on Tiger this weekend. They will not make the same mistake in any major coming up anytime soon. He won't be better than a 8-1 favorite in any of those. So yeah, your odds to get Tiger were on his first major. After the long drought. Now each one, you're not getting that same odds.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on here, Eric. I know you want to talk some hockey tonight. We're gonna talk some hockey tonight, but let me go back to what I was starting to bring up before you had come on here. Oh, what do you think? I'll bring this up just for you. Eric, thoughts on the fact that the Los Angeles Chargers are making their powder blue uniforms their standard home uniform rather than being the alternate?
I'll be honest, I care less. I mean, it's a nice color. If the fashion shows what you're trying to win on the field, they'll probably do it most weeks. But to me, it's about winning and winning championships. And I even say that as a Giants fan whose team has sucked hard the last few years. I mean, we're not in it. Same with the Jets. Jets changed their uniforms this year too. Ooh, they look more flashy. Good for you. You'll win the on-field fucking, Excuse the language.
That's fine.
But you're with the on-field fashion show. You could trot around all you want there, Sam Darnold and Phillip Rivers. I hope you get knocked on your ass in your pretty new suits.
Eric Tressler, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Tressler, yes. All right, let's stick with you Giants for a minute here because I know a section of Giants fans were holding out hope that Russell Wilson would be coming to the New York Giants. But he signs the big mega contract to stay in Seattle. I believe it's a 4-year extension worth about $120 million. I think he's got about $70 million of that guaranteed. Supposedly, it's the biggest contract ever in NFL history, at least until the next quarterback comes up for his contract. What were your thoughts on the Russell Wilson contract, Eric?
On the Russell Wilson deal, I mean, listen, the guy was going to get paid from someone. Seattle decided to do it. If I was Seattle, honestly, you probably could have got a couple first-round picks for him. You probably could have maybe moved on if you really believed in someone in this draft. But I don't think anybody truly believes in anybody in this draft. I know everybody's trying to hype up Kyler Murray. They're trying to, this kid from Duke's rising up some people's charts, maybe even ahead of Haskins in some people's eyes. I just don't think the quarterbacks are in this class, and I don't think it's worth giving up on a franchise one to try and maybe get something out of a Haskins or a Murray. To me, they made the right decision, sign the guy, move on, start worrying about how you're going to fill the rest of the team. And, I mean, the guy's a proven winner, and he does it with, not a lot of weapons around him. They're kind of a run-first offense anyway, and he is a pretty mobile quarterback, even though he can throw the ball. I think it's a smart move on both sides. He kind of forced their hand and said, listen, don't bother franchise tagging me. Sign a deal. Make me sign a deal now or, something else. And they ended up, pretty much buying into that and signing him to the deal. He's worth it, in my opinion. I mean, contracts, as everybody ups the next guy. It starts, with one guy making 25, next guy's got to make 27, next guy's got to make 30, next guy's got to make, So it doesn't surprise me that he's getting 35. And again, I just think the next quarterback's going to go higher than that.
Now, were you disappointed that the Giants didn't get him, and would you have given up 2 first-round picks for him?
I would have gave up the 2 first-round picks and probably a fifth to get him. I would have gave up a boatload to get him because I think he's a franchise guy. He's a guy that you're going to have for another 8 years at least, if you play your cards right. So I think that it would have been worth doing, but I just don't think Seattle really was interested in trading him. I know that they were maybe putting some feelers out, but I think when push came to shove, they looked at the options available this season to put back there, and I don't think they liked anybody. So Russell Wilson was the obvious choice for them.
Okay. Dave, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think the only thing that Eric didn't hit on that I agreed with was the fact that he also makes a makeshift offensive line in Seattle look pretty damn good. So I mean, and yes, they're a run-first team, and that's where that's where their bread and butter is, and having a dual-threat quarterback helps you with that. And he's smart about it. We've always talked about these running quarterbacks and can they stay healthy, and how many times have you really seen Russell Wilson take a huge hit while he was running the ball? I mean, yeah, you've seen him.
He knows how to slide. Baseball.
Exactly. So I think it's a smart move. Like Eric said, it resets the market for quarterbacks, and then the next quarterback who gets paid is going to reset the market again, and so on and so forth. And look, bottom line is, like everybody says, you got your salary cap, and you want to be able to sign other guys. But really what it is you sign a couple of your core players, and then you better hope to God you can draft good and get some deals in free agency, and then you run with it. But you're going to pay your quarterback, you're going to pay your pass rusher, you're going to pay your left tackle, you're going to pay your wide receiver, and you're going to pay your defensive end. So those are your guys, and everybody else, yeah, guess what? You're getting plug and pull.
Yeah, you just got to hope that those guys stay healthy. So, yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's move on here. I tell you what, Eric, I know you wanted to talk some hockey. We got the playoffs.
Hold on, just a couple main points, only because, I mean, there's some pretty significant things going on right now. The Islanders could sweep the Penguins. You got the Tampa Bay, who I don't know if you guys have followed much hockey this year, but Tampa Bay was far and above the best team in hockey all year long. And the fact that they can get swept in the first round too is pretty unbelievable. It's never happened.
If I may, just to stick with those two games for a minute, right now, Columbus is up 4-3 on the Lightning with about 8:50 to go in the third period, and the Islanders are up 2-1 at the end of the second period, and those are the teams that were up 3-0. So yeah, it's looking like both those teams are going to get shut out. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, no, if they are, I mean, like I was talking with Fife a little bit, and we were he even said it too. That Tampa Bay they ran out of gas. They're running out of gas at the wrong time of year. They had an unbelievable season, and it's pretty remarkable to watch right now. Like I said, never happened in hockey. You've never had the team who's won the President's Trophy get swept in the first round. They've had teams who have won the President's Trophy lose in the first round but never get swept. And like I said, Tampa Bay won the league this year. They were 21 points better than anybody else. They tied the NHL record for wins, 62 wins this year. They are about to get swept by a team they beat all season long. They beat into the ground all season long.
Well, Columbus has some good young players, like the defenseman, I think his name is Sean Jones. I like him. And I'll be honest, the only players I know from hockey are players I used to have on my fantasy teams when I did fantasy hockey. But I know Jones. Jones is a good young player, so they got that. And I think Tampa Bay, they got a couple guys hurt, a couple guys suspended. I know Victor Hedman, the defenseman, he's missed like the entire series thus far, right? Eric, anybody?
I'm sorry, you cut out right there.
Oh, I was just asking Hedman, the defenseman for Tampa Bay. He's missed like the entire series thus far, right?
Yeah, I think so. He hasn't played much, I don't think. And they're three big stars: Stamkos, I think Kucherov, and I'm forgetting the third off the top of my head. I mean, they were fantastic all year long. Scored, and they're pretty much getting shut out here in the playoffs. They really, their offense has fizzled out, and they just, I don't know any other way to describe it. I mean, they were hot all year and got cold at the wrong time. They really should have probably toned it down, to use Fife's words a little bit. It's crazy to watch. There isn't anybody out there who really would have picked the Lightning to win this series, and the fact that they are, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much of it you guys have seen. Dave, I know you watch a little more hockey than Mike does, but I know the Devils also aren't in it, so I'm not sure how invested you've been. But it's been pretty crazy. It really has.
Well, before we go to Dave, I just want to say, I know Fife, who I was kind of hoping would be on tonight, just so we have someone else talk hockey besides Eric, because I know Fife's really invested in it. He said last week, before the playoffs started, his prediction for the Stanley Cup Finals was the Islanders against the Jets. And as of right now, I think Fife may be ahead of the curve on this one. I got to say, good for the Islanders here, because if they can beat the Penguins, they've got to be the favorite to make the Stanley Cup Finals. And to do it in the year after you lose your top guy to free agency, and for some reason his name is escaping me right now. Now, the guy that your franchise was basically built around, he leaves during free agency, you bring Lou Lamoriello in, and the guy gets you to the point where you're about to take off one of the most storied teams in the history of the NHL, and especially what they've done over the last decade. That's really impressive right there. Dave?
So read something so it feels like Fife's here real quick, and then we'll let Dave jump in with all his thoughts.
Yeah,
this is from Fife. The Islanders are that team. They were smart. They toned it down midseason, came on strong to finish. He gets into St. Louis here. St. Louis had no choice but to battle all year because they started so shitty. They're going to be drained. And the NHL teams that start strong, take a little easy in the middle of the season, and finish strong. The teams that are statistically make runs deep. That's why there is such parity. Leyer played only 46 games this year. He's fresh, not to mention he won 25 of them and is second in the league in save percentage. That's the type of goalie that takes you on a run. That's why I had no faith in the Lightning to do much. They never took a game off, and they played for the President's Trophy. That's why the Caps won't make it out of the second round. It ain't easy making that run 2 years in a row. My only concern, honestly, for the Isles is Toronto. That's a team that could make me wrong. Grit will only take Columbus so far.
Now, I wouldn't mind seeing the Islanders in Toronto for that matchup of the guy who left the Islanders facing his former team, and I'd be rooting for the Islanders in that one. Dave?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, Erich is right. I'm less vested without the Devils being in there, but compared to if the Rangers were playing, I'm also on that team pulling for the Islanders. You know, it's a storied franchise. I mean, Gretzky and Messier, guys we got to grow up with and see, you know, started with that team and did some amazing things. So definitely part of the Islander train with that. But, you know, when you look at the NHL playoffs, and I think it kind of goes back to something Erich read from Fife, you know, you need that goalie. You need that goalie to get hot. Because the NHL is definitely loosening their rules to try and open up the scoring a little bit more like every league does. Mm-hmm. And I think that getting that goalie that can get hot at the right time makes complete sense. And, I mean, they play an 82-game season just like the NBA does, but it's not the same type of wear and tear. I mean, these guys literally do a minute to a minute and a half on the ice because of how hard they're playing and how hard they're skating and the physicality of the game. So it's the idea of trying to get off to a quick start so you can kind of take a little bit of a break around the All-Star break and then finish strong. I mean, that idea, that concept makes a whole lot of sense in my opinion. And I think all in all, when you look at it, I think the NHL is maybe the most underappreciated sport out there because when you actually watch the games, they're always entertaining. There's not dull moments in hockey. The only dull moment is the freaking commercial breaks. Other than that, it's a nonstop game with constant motion and constant action. And, you know, once you get a better understanding of the game, you really get to see that these guys are actually executing plays and things that they run in practice. And it just happens so fast that if you don't pay attention, you don't realize it. And you just say, oh, they got lucky, but bounced off their stick. And you're like, no, these guys actually practice things like this. So, I mean, my respect to them is unlimited. And I wish it was something that I would find more time to watch. It's not even that I, you know, flip past it and don't watch it. It's just trying to find time to watch it more than anything else at this point.
Yeah. And John Tavares is the guy's name I was trying to think of. I just want to bring that up. Yeah. So just want that in there. I agree with you on that one, Dave. Absolutely. Erich, any final thoughts on this before we move on?
No, I think we're good for this round. I mean, I wouldn't mind talking a little more as the playoffs wear on, but I mean, the big storylines we covered for right now. I don't know if you guys saw Ovechkin knock out a rookie yesterday.
Oh, I heard about
this.
That
was pretty funny.
I heard about this, but I do not know the full story on that one. So
apparently, I was watching it before and heard some coverage on it. And Ovechkin, if you watch the video, is literally asking the kid, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And the kid shakes his head, yes. You see literally his helmet going up and down is yes. Like he wanted it. He got it. Now
he got it.
Protocol and he's out game 4.
Oh, Jesus. That's just crazy. Dave.
I also think one other thing that needs to be mentioned from what we've seen and how impressive the Islanders have played is I believe up to this point, maybe not including game 4, they've held Sidney Crosby to 0 points. So no goals, no assists. You know, the golden child of hockey over the last decade or so, and he is pointless in the first round of a playoff series.
That's amazing right there. That's amazing. All right, so we got about 6.5 minutes left here. I tell you what, let's just get into it. I know everybody wants to talk about it. Who saw Game of Thrones this week?
I know I did.
Yeah. Erich?
Disappointing.
How do you say? First of all,
predictable and disappointing. There was no action. Come on, we got 5 episodes left, and you're wasting time with boring scenes. And I get it that they're trying to set stuff up for later, but don't give me an hour of this nonsense this late into it. I need action. There's a lot of stuff they got to tie up, and they're not doing it fast enough.
First of all, I got 2 things to say to you. If you want action, wait for episode 3, because from everything I've heard, that's when the Battle of Winterfell happens. So wait for episode 3. And number 2, anytime you're waiting for a show to come back for 2 years, the first episode is destined to be disappointing. It's just going to happen. But I liked the episode. I thought it was good. I liked the way they were setting things up. I liked the way that we got certain reveals out of everybody's system right off the bat, and there's going to be spoilers here, folks. The fact that we found out that John knows who his parents are, the fact that Sam found out his father and brother got roasted by the dragons. I'm sure there are a couple other reveals I'm forgetting about. But I like the fact that we got some of that crap out of the way, because you're right, Eric, only 5 episodes left. You got to get this crap out of the way so we can get to the action, and that is coming. Dave?
I mean, look, I'm kind of right in the middle of the two of you. I was disappointed, but it does kind of more connect to the 2 years of waiting. And it's like, all right, well, if you watched the show and paid attention to the show, most of the stuff they're revealing to you, you already knew. But obviously you had to have that moment where, Sam tells John who he truly is. And, knowing John, he never wants to actually be anything. When it's really all said and done, like, he just doesn't want to be anything. He's just trying to do the right thing over and over again. And he keeps ending up putting himself in positions of power without even trying for the most part.
Yeah, he just, some people stumble into stuff and they fall in shit. He stumbles into stuff and he winds up on the throne.
And that's, so, I mean, look, that honestly, the part of the entire episode that I love the most, or what just stuck with me the most after it was over, is Bran, or whatever, I guess now he's just the 3-eyed raven. He is a creepy dude.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how else to say. He is just creepy. The way he sits there and just stares at people, like, I get it. He's knowing what's happened, fine, whatever. It is just creepy. But at the same time, the way they ended it with the "I'm waiting for an old friend," and it basically ends with a stare down of him and Jaime Lannister.
That was cool.
What an amazing setup moment. I thought that was great.
Yep.
The little love moment with Jon and Daenerys, I could have lived without it, but I was trying to kind of connect to how he fell in love with what's her name from the Wildlings.
Yeah.
Same kind of setup. And maybe one of my other favorite parts of the episode was the symbolism of Jon riding the dragon that's named after his father.
Yeah, I'll tell you this stuff. To agree with Eric's point a little bit, that whole riding the dragon sequence could have been about 3 minutes shorter, and I would have been okay with it. Because, like, at first, it's like, oh, it's cool. Look at him trying to ride a dragon. He's going to fall off the dragon. And then after a while, it's like, all right, can we get to the next scene, please? Because, yes, like Eric said, we only got 5 episodes left here. Come on, let's move it.
Exactly. There was definitely moments you could have trimmed out of it and put other things in, but this is going to get more and more intense leading up. I mean, next episode looks pretty damn intense. We all already have heard how crazy episode 3 is supposed to be. And then from there, I feel like everybody's just has no clue what's next, because you don't know how that battle is going to go. And you don't know what the consequences of the battle is going to be. You know, at least 1 to 2 main characters are going to die. So that one that really has me curious to see where it goes.
And I'll say that I got 2 things to say, and then we got to sign it off here. The Arya Gendry scene was awesome. I loved seeing those 2 characters back together. First time they've been together since like season 2. But that was awesome to see right there. And Eric, I'll put it to you this way. Which would you rather have? An episode like that to start off the season? Or I think back to the final season of The Sopranos, which started off with this great first episode that ends with Tony getting shot by Uncle Junior. And then you get just a very bland rest of the season, and then you don't even get a real series finale. You get half a season finale, series finale, and it fades to black right at the end of it, and you don't get any sort of satisfaction or conclusion. But enough of my sour grapes. We got less than a minute left here, so we got to sign off.
I don't think it's sour grapes. I would take that ending. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the wonder of picturing that ending the way I want to picture it. I'm okay with that. I don't give me this. Nothing about The Sopranos bored me the way this episode bored me.
Stop it. We do not have enough time to argue about how bad that final episode was. Anyway, thank you both for coming on with me tonight. We got to sign off. Dave Hastings, say goodnight.
As always, it's a pleasure.
Erich Tressler, say goodnight.
Stay sweaty, my friends.
Stay sweaty, brothers. Thank you very much. Thank you, Cousin David, for listening. I am Mike Agley and Laurel. We will see y'all next week.